shows up. All right, being 6:30, the conservation meeting for Tuesday, March 7th.
Recording in progress.
Tuesday, March 7th, 2023 is now open. And
We'll table the minutes, and at this point, all the continued hearings
going
has to be
continue.
continued anyways, so they're not going to be showing. So we can go right into your presentation if you'd like.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Oh, you lucked out on that one.
Well, thank you for your time. Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering, along with a whole team of people from Professional Auto Detailing, including Garrett Tunnison, who is our environmental consultant on the job, and he can certainly talk further about the wetlands that we're dealing with on the property. But the property we're here to talk about is 434 and 440 West Center Street. I'm sure everybody's been by it a million times. Two existing houses right here. This plan that we're looking at currently is the existing conditions plan. So it shows the wetlands that were delineated, 25, 50, and 100-foot buffer zones, and then the two dwellings, 434 and 440. 434, the side of the house sits almost directly against the wetlands. The wetlands are pretty much right up against the house. The majority of the backyards of both properties are disturbed. The tree line doesn't really come into effect until you get much lower down into the property. So the entire property, certainly this one here, entirely in the buffer zone, entirely disturbed. And this one, the house number 440, is just a little bit in the buffer zone, again with a large yard area. So what the folks at proposed auto detailing are hoping for is to put in a car wash on
Can
the
you
front.
can you just point out where the 50, the 100 is, just so people can?
Sure. So here is the edge of wetlands, 50 foot. So this house is entirely within the 50-foot buffer zone. And then the 100 comes out over to the neighboring property number 440, which is included in this deal. So the 50 runs right down the side of that existing house.
Thank you.
So the proposal is a car wash, a modern car wash with an entrance over here off of West Center Street, 2 lanes, a machine right there to pay and to get into the tunnel, go through the tunnel, one-way traffic, and then exit back out to West Center Street. We've had preliminary talks with other town departments, and knowing that there's a whole bunch of hoops to jump through, but one concern that was raised was the possibility of wet vehicles and wet driveways and cars dripping out onto West Center Street, and in the winter months it freezing and causing some icing conditions there. So we've proposed a heated concrete pad exiting the tunnel. So in addition to the vacuums that suck all the water off the surface of the car, the heated concrete pad will dry the undercarriage. So that's what we've got proposed. Parking spaces right over here between the travelway and the building, with a series of vacuum cleaners on either side for self-serve vacuuming. Obviously, the biggest thing that you folks would be concerned about is, again, the buffer zones, and we've laid everything out as tight to the western property line as we can, starting with our travelways, then a little sidewalk for the little concrete area for the vacuums, the parking spaces, the travelway, another sidewalk, and then the building. And that puts this side of the building essentially right at the 50-foot buffer zone. It's a little bit within and a little bit without, but I guess for discussion, we'll just say it's right at the 50-foot buffer zone. We've shown about a 10-foot area beyond the building, and at least on this plan, we're looking at some sort of a fence or some kind of a barrier around that property. The important numbers that we're looking at, there's 3 different numbers. So we have the existing disturbance.
12,500.
I'm sorry?
12,500.
The existing disturbed area within the 50-foot buffer zone for the existing house number 434 is 12,500 square feet. The proposed disturbance within that 50-foot buffer zone would be 3,000 square feet. So it's a reduction, obviously, of 9,000 square feet. And then this remaining land from our limit of work back to the wetlands line that is currently disturbed is about 17,000 square feet, and that's the area that we would hope to have Garrett help us out with a restoration plan for that area. So we'd be looking at restoring 17,000 square feet of currently disturbed buffer zone. So, and obviously everything else we need to do. We need on-site septic, we need drainage to meet stormwater management guidelines. We've got to go to the Board of Appeals. There's a whole bunch of hoops to jump through, but before we spend a lot of time and a lot of their money on it, we figured that you folks were probably the biggest hoop out of everybody to jump through. So we just wanted to show it to you and make sure you didn't kick us out right away.
So, from what I see, is there a purpose or a reason for the driveway being on one side and the building being on the other side, or can it be swapped?
Visibility.
Yeah, well,
Visibility for what?
Yeah, the tunnel being on that side over there will give us way more visibility from the vehicles coming from Route 24 and stuff like that, you know.
Beyond that, the biggest reason from a site planning issue, nobody wanted the driveway to be directly across from West Street.
Mhm.
So if we flipped them, the driveway would be right across from West. Everybody was hoping for it to be offset. So as I said, if we flipped it, the driveway would be directly across from West Street. So,
And there's always also something else. The tunnel will create like this barrier from the wetlands to our building. Whereas if you have the lanes on that side, it does not create a barrier. So people would have some access. We don't want any access. We want to create this kind of wall because it's a closed space. Nobody will have any access to it.
Or you can put up a fence,
Yeah, we can just put like a
either way.
chain link fence up, just like Market Basket did, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even Market Basket has to go out and clean the debris up on the far side because it blows in. I mean, I will admit, having the building on that side does protect a little bit more of the buffer from
True.
debris coming in from the parking area.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
no matter what, people are gonna empty out there.
And I will say,
Empty
when
the
we did
cups
meet with all the departments, the offset entrance was one of the
Major
ones that the
concern.
fire, police,
Yeah.
highway department,
Was it just two
planning board
driveways?
all wanted.
Yeah, so, yeah, it'd be one entrance and then an exit would be a right turn only exit.
So, say if there's like, if you can get, if you could kind of move the building over a little bit towards, is there a specific amount of parking you would rather have, you would like, or is just what you could fit in there?
Well, we've got around 25 spaces and they're really, we're looking for 30 spaces. For
The thing
you
is
know, the
that they
number
are
of-
not parking spaces. They are for vacuum.
Yeah.
So we had initially, I'm sorry, I'm Roseanne Kedran, I work with professionals. So initially, we had 3 lanes here. That would be what we would like to have. But because of the wetlands, we wanted to suppress this. So we got this lane out. But for the parking spaces, what happens is we need these for the vacuum cleaners because as people will come through the tunnel, they need to come out here to use the vacuum cleaners. Every one of these parking spaces will have a vacuum that people can just go on and self-service their cars. So this is why they are not actually parking spaces.
Is there a reason why, I mean, is there specifically, you have to have so many,
The thing
Vacuums?
is that we
Or can you
have
cut 'em-
here.
can you cut down like half the amount of vacuums? I'm just saying.
No, we understand, and we've been through that. There has been a lot of discussion. The thing is, this is for a high volume of cars. And we want to make sure that we are able to cover whoever comes without causing any traffic, without taking all the traffic out of West Center, because we understand there are many cars going through there. So whatever we can divert here, like to inside our property, inside our space, and move that traffic out of West Center, this is what we're looking for. We don't want people having to wait here to come in, so we want to make this flow. So we just want to make sure that we have enough spaces, like for everyone to just come out of here, leave if they want to, park if they want to, without having some traffic over here, causing West Center to have traffic as well. Also here, we're making a right turn only. We spoke to the fire department and he expressed that concern. So this will be right turn only. And to come in, you're gonna come in just through this lane.
I think no matter what, I think there's gonna be issues with traffic, no, either way, coming in from.
Sure.
And then coming in from this way, where they're either gonna stop, hold up traffic here, or.
This is why we wanted to
No, I
get out of
understand.
this street. And what we thought about this location is, we already have Valvoline, we have a body shop, so this will bring the traffic, like car-related, whatever you have car-related in the town, you come to this location. The traffic that you are generating it comes from that, so you are directing it to this location. Not only that, of course, but
And it's one, just gonna be like a, just say soft touch car wash?
Yes,
It's
yes.
just one, it's not
Just
gonna
one
be,
tunnel.
it's
Yeah.
not gonna be one.
Yeah,
Soft
and that
touch.
driveway right there, Lee, will be able to hold at least maybe 40 vehicles at a time. It's gonna be long.
40
It's gonna be
vehicles at a
probably
time.
about 150 feet long, you know,
Yeah, could you
and then they'll
please,
make that left turn into the tunnel. So you could probably easily have 40, 50 cars right inside those lanes over there.
Now, the
at a
back,
time.
go ahead, Carol.
could you please show me where all the driveway is gonna be? What is it gonna cover?
Yeah,
Is it gonna come, how far into the wetlands? What are we talking about?
Not into the wetlands, but right through here. This is the 100-foot buffer, this is the 50.
the
We would
50
be
is
entering,
here.
yep, we would be entering the tunnel right through here.
So the tunnel
Right
doesn't
up
get
against
into the zone, the buffer zone. A little portion of the zone, the buffer zone is gonna be taken by this. If you take a look at the existing house over here, this is the existing house, so we are taking this down and we are restoring all of this and using this portion. The main area that is gonna be used, that makes up for the 3,000 feet that we were talking about, is this one that is just pavement to get to the tunnel. Let me show you what we have now. This is the area that we have behind the house.
The existing
So
property.
this is the wetlands, this is how it is now. If you take a look, we have tires over here. What we were thinking is, and we were talking to Garrett about this does not look like a preservation area. We want to make it look like a preservation area. We want to work with the space. We want to make it pretty. What we thought here is having this area here for parking spaces that people can actually come and look at the place and interact with the nature, because this place can be beautiful. We can work with that. This is where we are right now. We have an empty space. This area has absolutely no wildlife in this area because it's arid. So what we want
All along, yeah.
is to bring it back, to restore this whole area, to bring the plants, to make sure that whatever is here, that we are able to protect that furthermore and use that to our advantage, because we are a high-tech, self-contained car wash. So we want to show that we can use nature, we can interact with nature. So this is what we want. We want to bring this back, the whole area, have this little observatorium per se, so that we can
Okay.
use that.
What I'm seeing is where it's more stormwater runoff from what you're proposing than the house had. And that's gonna run off into the wetlands.
Well, we would have, as I said, we've got a whole bunch of hoops to jump through, the site plan and part of things, but we would have to design an infiltration system, a stormwater management system we'd have curbing, so that there would be no runoff into the wetland. There would be curbing on the driveways to make sure that no water runs off from the driveways into the wetlands. Be a series of catch basins, and that would go to the subsurface drainage system.
And snow removal, where would that be? Would you have a snow pile in place?
Yeah, we've talked about it realistically, because, we've got land here, but we certainly don't want to pile up the snow in the
Yeah.
buffer zone. Usually that's frowned upon, so
Yep.
we would use up 6 or 7 of the spaces right over here for temporary snow storage. The contractor that the folks would have that would do the snow plowing, they'd also have a contract for snow removal, so they'd come in with a piece of equipment and a dump truck and move the snow off-site. So it would just be a 24-hour snow storage right there, using up some parking spaces when realistically, right after a snowstorm, you're not running out washing your car anyways.
So, and you're proposing on the bottom of the parking lot there?
Yep.
Not there, but where it's gonna be the driveway going into the,
Here,
yep.
this area.
You proposing to take that spot that you're into the 50-foot to replicate, or to, now my mind just went, to make the wetlands better?
Yes.
Is that what you're proposing, or is that,
Buffer zone restoration, so
That's,
ecological
yeah.
restoration, and there are a few invasives, so we will put a plan together to eradicate the invasives. They're not a ton, but there are, a few, and you know how it is, if there's a few there, especially if you disturb, there'll probably be a lot more.
alright,
So we
no.
can take those out. I'm very familiar with doing that work. My company does a lot of that.
Okay, so I'll ask, well, you can answer the question too, or not, I'll ask Tim, since he knows. Would it be better off just to leave that spot, that area there, and let it grow back to where it would come back to, or just would it be okay to?
They're probably
Replicate.
gonna need, because of the long-term disturbance that happened, coming in with a restoration plan at this point.
That's a lot of what I do, and I'm very successful at it because it's detailed. So I don't. we make
I know
sure it's
some
not-
places we'd rather have it just stay the way it is and let it come
Yes.
back naturally.
This area, the majority of it has been mowed, and there's a lot of lawn, and there are landscaping plants, so we don't have a lot of natural vegetation. Only in the rear of the site, back over here, do we actually have a naturally forested area. So thinking about a restoration now, we're in rare species habitat, so we'll have to go to natural heritage. I don't know what the species is yet. Once we figure that out, I don't know if there's any of the life requisites, such as like a nesting area. I don't know what the species is, or if there's something else we may have to put some habitat in. But what I'd like to see done is put in a natural forested woodland, like what you have back there, with the same current species in the herbaceous shrub and tree layers. So we have, like right now, I see low bush blueberry, high bush blueberry, there was a little bit of witch hazel, a lot of sweet pepper bush, nannyberry, arrowwood, southern arrowwood, and then in the tree layer, I saw black cherry, oaks, and maple. So multiple oak species, as I'm sure, like red, pin, and white. So that's probably what we would do to restore what I believe was there in the past. So that's what I'd like to see. That's typically, and if we can salvage the leaf litter and some of the soil, if there aren't any invasives, I would definitely utilize that. Just instead of bringing more stuff in, especially when I'm finding out leaf litter is helping a lot with some of my ecological restorations, keeping out the invasives, and also providing them moisture and all the microbes that are needed for being successful woodland.
In this process, I spoke to Sebastian, who did the project for Valvoline, and they have a bunch of wetland here as well. And I saw the restoration project that they did on their end, and we have access to that. So we were discussing that and seeing what they had planted. And this is something very similar to the project that we want. We don't want to disturb it any more than it is, but we want to bring back whatever it is, whatever doesn't look like a preservation area.
Bring it back, but to leave it,
Yes,
so it can just keep on growing naturally.
of
Well,
course.
Likely it'd be, if it's rare species habitat, it's going to be placed in a conservation restriction
Yeah,
as part of the permitting.
yeah.
This also will trigger MIPA due to the ACs.
Yeah.
And probably if it's a permissible take, it's going to trigger MIPA if it's, 2 acres or greater. So I don't know if that'll trigger, but automatically the ACs will.
I mean, I will say from the original plan, you guys did a really good job going back to the drawing board.
Thank you.
They have taken a considerable amount out of previously disturbed and are looking to restore it. You also have to remember there are 2 septic systems, we'll call them septic systems, in those locations that may or may not be functioning.
And
By
I will,
this change,
yeah,
you're taking them out of the equation.
I will say, I was looking at this before you guys came in, and for the amount of 50 foot and everything, I was not for it.
Yeah, we have no idea what's happening, what you guys give advice to us to follow the rules for everything had to be, supposed to be, so that's why we go over and
That's
do
we got
everything.
we have all the professionals here. We got Scott, we got Roseanne, we have Garrett. We want to we wanna make sure that we can make it work, you know?
I mean,
I showed this through the last meeting we attended like 2 or 3 weeks ago. This is similar to what we wanted to do there, you know? It's state-of-art equipment, it's the best of everything right now.
and all the stuff, everything's all self-contained.
Self-contained and
nothing,
everything, yeah. People will go through that whole tunnel within like 20 seconds. A car will go through this tunnel over here can hold up to like 1,000 cars a day. No issues, no problem. Yeah. And
With it being so close to with that building being so close to the wetland, chain link fence, I don't know if that would be a good idea. I think I might wanna see something maybe
Vinyl?
a little different.
maybe vinyl, 8 feet high, something like that.
Or wood to make it look natural. I don't know.
Whatever you tell us.
Just to
do
kind
it.
of maybe prevent the stuff to go into the wetland, but also even if it does, vinyl can get dirty with water, because water can
Moss
be
and.
Yeah.
moss and
Never
everything.
stays blank.
Even if with wood brand new, it's fine, but it ages and it makes it look natural.
Yeah.
It also, I don't know the rare species, if it's say a turtle species.
To be able to.
Natural
Yeah.
Heritage will request that we have some type of way to block underneath, like, a lot of times we bury chain link or vinyl,
Yeah.
and then we put it, if it's chain link, we'll put, hardware cloth on the bottom or whatever, so that they can't get through the holes. So I don't know what the species is though, so I can't say just yet.
We did some work. We did some homework this morning. You know, this photo was taken by Google. That's where the house is right now. So it's like 100% inside the 50-foot buffer
Yeah.
zone. You know, right there.
Yeah.
If you can see it, this red line right here is the 50-foot buffer zone, 25, and this is the wetland edge right here. And what we are proposing is this amount over here. This tiny piece right here, and if you look at the house, the existing property right now, this is all gonna be renovated, preserved. Nobody will go there. We'll clean it if we have to every other month. You know, we'll have a guy over there taking everything out of there. Place will look way better if we do all the work and if you guys allow us to do it.
And right now it looks like abandoned, and there are tires on the property.
It's completely
Beside
disturbed
the-
right now. You know, the guy who lives on that house over there, he's 87 years old.
Yeah.
He can't do anything. So the guy next door on the yellow house does the mowing for him once a week, every other week, you know. Bunch of trash back there. It looks horrible.
And it's something that would make sense now because we are having a huge renovation in that area. So this would be a chance to settle down. We know that for you guys who live here, it is a hassle. Like the traffic that it generates, there's a water line that's gonna be put in now. So there will be a 5-year moratorium, yes. So this is a good time for us to get in there, start and coordinate our construction with the construction that is already going to be there. So we can be done with the projects with everything at the same time and get this place settled, beautiful. And this area here, which I know that you guys are concerned about, we are as well. We want to make this look good and not just be a way for people to come from the highway to Market Basket, but to be a beautiful place that people can come and look and say, wow, there is a lot of nature here. It's beautiful.
So what do we think about, when they build, all the disturbance that's gonna go farther into the wetland? How do we think about that?
No, it just have to be,
I mean, they're offering to take more disturbed space out of what's there. So really, there's a net gain of what, about 9,000 square feet?
Yeah, currently there's 12,500 square feet of disturbed area for that house in the 50-foot buffer zone, so it's 12,000 square feet. Once we do our work, there's only gonna be 3,000 square feet. So we're taking out 9,000 square foot of disturbance in the 50-foot buffer zone.
It's 26% of what is already being used.
I was thinking when you have to go in to dig and build this.
getting the trucks in there, you have to.
Yeah,
Just so you wouldn't, I know what you're saying, so you don't go further into the wetland, disturb any of the areas.
Sure.
Or,
This area here, the area that is actually going to be within the buffer zone, this is just pavement. There is nothing else here. The tunnel.
And
is
realistically,
going
it's
to
all
be
lawn
under-
area now.
Right.
So it's
Yes.
not that it hasn't
Everything- yeah,
been
it's all
previously
disturbed.
disturbed. It's not impervious now, but it is previously disturbed. So it's not like it's a real wetland area that's currently functioning
Yes.
as it should be.
Correct, and I did the wetland delineation. Some of the areas of the lawn have sedges growing in them, and they have soils that beat horizons 6-1, 10YR, so hydric soils. So those areas were included, such as on this corner here. In this area, that's currently lawn. And then down over here, this is currently lawn. So those areas are, they're considered wetland because they meet the criteria. They have both hydrophytes and soil. So in those situations, you can see we're even, the actual, it's even the wetlands disturbed. So we can fix that. There's a lot of opportunity here for mitigation.
Well, from what I can see, I mean, you did a good job pushing it out more. I think the next biggest step for you guys are gonna be is the drainage. Whatever you're gonna do with,
Figure your
Roof runoff
stormwater out,
and
but that, I mean, but at this point, what they're looking from the
yeah,
commissioners is that there's something here they can work with,
Right.
or basically, you're not gonna let them do anything in the 50-foot and.
Yeah,
the
from our
project.
point of view, to get to that step, to do the stormwater, the on-site work, the engineering work, to get a finished site plan, to have Garrett do his work, with the restoration plans, with natural heritage, all of that, it's a considerable, investment for these folks. Like I said, we just wanna make sure we don't show up in 3 months with all these final plans worth of $100,000, and you guys say, there's just no
You
way we
can't
can
do it
allow
now.
this.
well, you
So
did
we
make
know
a big
that, like I
difference.
said, we know there's a lot of hoops to jump through. We're just trying to make sure we're not
Wasting
hitting a-
money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and time.
time.
Yeah,
Right.
time.
And
money,
the
yeah.
thing is, we are going to be compliant. Whatever you tell us, like this is the way that we want you to go, we are going to be compliant. As long as we are all aware that we are coming in a little bit on the buffer zone here, whatever else we do, we are going to comply. This is our baby. They have been in the business for over 20 years. And this is the first car wash that they are going to build after tons of researches, but we are in over 60 locations, and they've been doing this for a very long time. So this is their baby, to put it up here and to make this state of the art. So this is a plan. They've looked everywhere, and this is where they found something that we can work with, a beautiful place that, can get the attention of everyone, and, that has the right amount of cars coming by, that has like the businesses around that will go together. This is a whole study that was done before we could come to you.
Just can
So-
you
And the good thing about that is I'm 10 minutes away from it now. I live in Easton.
Ah, there
You
you
can
go.
be there anytime, any day, and I'll be there for sure, full time.
This can be a lot of revenue for the city, and the
So-
population is gonna love it, have something they never had before. So this is good.
Go ahead, Carol.
So my other question is, in terms of being able to comply, are we sure that they can comply with our stormwater regulations?
I said it before, with engineering, they can
Yeah.
pretty much come
Yeah.
out, just about anything, it
Well,
depends
like I
on
said,
cost.
that's what
But,
That's
Alright,
what we
well,
need
that's
to
what I
do.
wanted-
Yeah.
that's what I-
We're aware of the,
Yeah.
of all of the regulations and, as I said, all of the hoops we have to jump through. We think we can make everything work.
Well,
I
you
mean,
gotta
for a
bring it-
septic system that you're
Yeah.
putting in there, it's gonna be pretty
It's
minor, I
relatively
mean,
small, right,
it's
Yes.
right, it's a tiny set.
very small office or
Yeah.
employee
Yeah.
space, so
Yeah.
it's,
And you're gonna bring it in front of us anyways first,
Oh, for sure.
to show,
Yeah.
and then we can talk about it, and
Yes.
Carol, and
I like it when you bring the color pictures in. I like the colored lines, so when you come back, make sure there's a lot of color.
well,
We will,
Yep.
yes.
I like
We
that.
have some color right there.
Yeah.
We'll not give you reference so that you can
Yeah,
really
yeah.
see
But
where.
yes, but we'll bring them, and
There'll be
we'll
plenty
make
of
sure
color
that we
then.
show you everything.
I like color, thank you.
Yeah,
No, but this is true. We
Where's
want
it?
to be as transparent as possible, because you guys need to know what you're signing up.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
important.
we're not opposed, like, in my opinion. Anybody who comes in front of us that has, like you were saying, I want, if it could be put business for revenue for the town, it's
Yeah.
great. But we're not gonna sit here and say, oh, okay, just put a business in there because we just want the money.
Yes, I
Yeah.
understand.
conservation is
Especially
about
with
that.
the new construction. If we've told other companies before, 50 foot is basically either you work with us or you don't,
Yes.
and that's up to you. Because if you
Yeah.
don't, then we could just say, like I said, right now you can say, see you later. You're not working with us, too
Right.
bad. From what I can see, from what I was looking at before to now, you guys are willing to work, you're willing to replicate, do what you have to do in the wetlands. And stormwater, you seem like you're gonna be all set with that, or up to date with it.
Yep.
We'll see when it comes in front of us, but
Sure.
from what I can see, that's what we wanna see, people that will come in front of us and work with us. If you don't, then you're just signing yourself a name saying, see you later.
Right, yeah.
Well, in regards to the area of the restoration, that is gonna have to be separate. It's gonna have its own erosion controls or
Yep.
sediment controls around it, because we wanna keep people out of there when we're trying to restore it. That's always standard for us. So that will be done, and I don't know, it might have to be, again, we don't know the rare species. If it's a turtle
Yep.
species, we're gonna have, it's gonna be silt fence. That's what's going to be the turtle barriers, if that's the
Okay.
case. If not, we may have straw wattles or whatever, but we can also use, silt fence to keep at least the up-gradient barrier between the project and the restoration area, where you may want like a straw wattle on the base of the restoration area, or maybe multiple lines if there's too much of a slope in the middle.
Okay.
So it's just something that we would consider. We don't want to put any sediment or any materials in the wetland either. And we're going to disturb over an acre, I think, right?
Yes.
With the project. So they're going to have to file NIPD's construction general program, NOI anyway. So, and those fines are what, $75,000 a day if you don't do what you're supposed to. So I think they're going to want to do what they're supposed to.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
And just on a personal note, we know the importance of what you do in the world today. We need to have committees like yours that preserve what we have. Otherwise, we would just be bulldozing everything and there would be nothing else to preserve.
Right.
So this is, what you guys do is very important. We acknowledge that and we want to work with you to preserve this area and to work with it. So this is not a hurdle for us. We want to make sure that we are here and we are coming in and being a part of this.
Yeah, and we wanna
And a
show
part of
people,
the town. Yeah.
we wanna show people in town too that we're basically, we're not gonna weave for somebody that, okay, it's a big town revenue thing coming in. We're pretty much gonna stay on a straight line that's how we work and that's how we're gonna be working, so just to let you guys know. And
Important,
Yep.
yes.
anybody else who comes in front of us is just, you work with us, and we'll work with you back. If you don't, you don't.
And don't we
Yeah,
like
we're-
the
Yeah, we're
100,
here for that.
don't we
Yeah.
like the 100-year still?
That'll be in now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Kind of like the 100-year.
Yep.
Looking at that.
Understood.
Okay.
That's the other
Okay.
thing. Yeah, you guys did a good job.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Nice to meet
Thank
you.
you.
Now you got your other hurdles to go.
Yes, but thank you for your time.
Thanks so much for
Thank you,
having us.
guys.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
We'll see you back.
Thank you. We'll see you. Thank
See you
you.
soon.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Do you guys want to keep in anything? Maybe
Carol.
that, maybe this,
I
maybe
don't-
to show to Jason or somebody else?
We've got the recording.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah,
Jason, Jason did get in touch with me and he's been sick with a stomach bug since
Oh,
Saturday.
okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Well,
we understand why he's not coming
Thank
in.
you, guys. Thank you. Later.
Thank
Good
you.
night, bye-bye. Take care. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You too.
I don't want to, I'll let you. Good.
Okay.
Uh, Well, since we don't have a quorum, and all the continued items are gonna be continued anyways, we can table the minutes till next meeting.
Okay.
The only thing we will need to deal with is basically signing warrant items, and as long as we have Lee and recorded it, they can be done. So,
Do you want me to just read off the continuance? Or just,
if you just, yeah, you can read them out. I mean, we can't take a vote or anything because
yeah,
the
that's
vote-
true, all right, so we'll just basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just repost them. It's like we canceled the meeting.
Okay, yeah, all
is
right,
what
we'll
it
just,
was.
yeah, just
It's-
repost them, okay, I understand. All right, so then we'll just get down, well, actually, do you wanna give us an update on the 586?
586, for updates on both of those, nothing has changed. The town planner and I have talked, and we're both going to investigate to find out what the status is on the site, since they had a purchase and sale, and we thought it would be going through by now. So I'm not quite sure what the status is. The only other thing that we will continue to the next meeting is we did have a request for certificate of compliance. that dates back to 1995.
Oh dear.
And they're just looking to close that up and get rid of an old certificate of compliance that's well-finished project. I've inspected it, everything met the requirements from the order of conditions, and
Okay.
they just need a full release.
We'll just do that next meeting.
So at that point, since we couldn't open the meeting, you don't really have to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, I did open it, but
Yeah, if you want to just
today,
can
I'll just entertain it. Well, I didn't do
entertain, we'll just call the meeting closed.
that. Okay.
We officially couldn't really open it because we didn't have a
Yeah,
quorum
sure,
to
I
act on
have a
anything.
quarter to act on it, okay, so I'll just, the meeting for Tuesday, March 7th, 2023, Conservation, I will close it.